Welcome to another episode of the Mind, Body and Pipeline podcast. This week we have Andy Nicol, who is the founder of Sputnik. Sputnik are a digital product studio based in Manchester. Andy's run the business for 24 years. About 5 years ago, he really got into his running. He's now competed in multiple marathons. He's then jumped on the bike and in the water and combined the three together to run Ironman. He's somebody I've known about. I've entered his circles in the last couple of years, but not until recently have I met him on the pod. And then also he came to one of our events and met him in person. He has a dedication and a mindset focus when it comes to particularly the long distance endeavors that he undertakes that I haven't heard from many other people previously. It's a really important part of his life. He has quite a jovial attitude towards why he exercises on a regular basis, and he knows what happens when he doesn't. I'll let you listen to the pod and find out more about Andy's journey and his story. Andy, thanks again for joining me.
You're welcome, Guy. Good to see you.
Yeah, I know you too. We've known, I've certainly known of you, and I think we've been connected on LinkedIn for a long time. So I know about your business and certainly about your fitness journey. But for the listeners who might not be as familiar with your work, can you give a quick intro about what the business does?
Where have they been if they don't know about me, Guy? Yeah, the business. I don't know. 24 years and I still don't know how to summarize this. I guess we're nowadays a digital product studio. Yeah. We're an agency that is great at UX and engineering, designing and building apps and digital products for our clients.
Yeah, nice. Okay, nice. 24 years, did you say?
Yes, I think so.
Fabulous. Great. And in that time, your health and fitness and wellness journey, can you talk to us? Well, I was going to say a little bit about that, but take as long as you need. And then if you could direct it towards the correlation and how that's impacted the way that you approach the business over those 24 years.
Good question. I'd say in parallel to running the business, I think my daughter was born, I think it was the same year that I started Sputnik.
Okay.
She came along 6 months after I started the business or so. And that reduced the amount of available time. So prior to that, I think I was always pretty active, okay. I was never in teams of anything, but I was always a bit hyper and, didn't own a car, had a bike, cycled everywhere, played five-a-side at a very poor level. Yeah. I was never talented. I was just enthusiastic. And then Amy came along, which was obviously delightful and no regrets. Time for fitness suffered. Yeah. So I'd say my fitness kind of went into the wilderness for a bit. I still did bits, but had a lot less time and I was working really hard. I was doing, morning meetings and networking and stuff. And my evenings were full of conferences and whatever. So mornings, days and evenings were full. Weekends were parenting. So I'd say there wasn't a lot in parallel for those decade or so till Amy got a bit older. And it probably didn't start again until a few things happened all rather simultaneously. One was a dinner for one of our clients, Swinton Insurance's 60th birthday, with our contact there, a guy called Adam, who was our main contact at the client. And we were both sitting there having a bottle of wine over this dinner. Why don't we do something silly like a coast-to-coast bike ride or something? Well, that'd be fun. And around the same time, my daughter was getting older and it wasn't long before she moved out, went to uni, did other stuff. So I just kind of coincidentally had a midlife crisis simultaneously with a friend of mine, had more time on my hands. So we kind of did this coast to coast bike ride. We had to go out and buy some new bikes because we went out on a test ride and something went wrong with my bike. Something really radical happened to his, like 4 miles in, like the cassette fell off. It wasn't just like the chain snapped. It was something far more awful. Yeah. And we're like, look, we're both I was in my 40s. Adam must have been a bit, he was 40. We went out and bought some decent bikes. Like, look, if we're not going to do it now, we're older and richer and we can afford a bike. Let's do it. So we got into cycling and then we both decided to do Chester Marathon. So the bike went in the garage while we trained for Chester Marathon as one of our first big runs. And it just kept going. So that was kind of 2018, 2019, somewhere around there where it probably kicked off. So still running the business and still doing fitness. but it's certainly been 24 years of fitness and business.
And I know we can talk about it. Obviously, Chester Marathon, that's a long way. I know you've done Ironman, and we can go into some of those. And when you talked about being enthusiastic, never within the sports teams and things, but did you used to run? Did you take yourself out running?
No, I played squash. I played five-a-side, pubs and nightclubs. Like I'd go out on a Saturday night till 2 a.m. and run home, like 5K. But mostly, I don't know, just get home quicker. Yeah. So I always had energy, but I wasn't a very attentive student at school, either in PE or academically. So I just didn't join sports teams. I was probably never a big built guy, not particularly talented. Yeah. So there were better jocks at school than I was. And so I never really thought of myself as a sports person, even if I was enthusiastic. Like I'm the guy that runs around the squash court, like no talent, like good guys sit in the middle and just back around. That's it. That's not me. I'm running around and I enjoy the running around. I'm like, I'm getting fit. I love it. But I'm not getting better at the game. And that's probably still my attitude to most of this stuff that I still do is like, I want to get better. I do care more about technique, running and all that stuff. But my superpower is determination, I think, not talent. I make up for my small stature and weak muscles by not giving up.
Yeah, and that natural energy that you have matched with something here has led you to cycling coast to coast, Chester Marathon. You've done a number of Ironman. You've got some coming up this year. Can you just talk about that and how you train for it, how you go about setting those goals? And then you and I were speaking beforehand about goals, things that you want to do in 2025. You know, is there I suppose there's several questions here. It's about how you went from you and your friend who was a business colleague at Swinton doing a coast to coast to now, less than 7 years later, doing some Ironman, and because you can't not train for those, and they're goals, aren't they?
I remember doing. We did cycling. Cycling was a hobbyist thing. We just jump on the bikes and go to the brickworks or
And you enjoyed the cycling? Enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I enjoy getting out. I like being outdoors. I feel stuffy and restless if I'm indoors. If I sit watching TV, I'm getting up, making a cup of tea or checking my phone. Like I can't sit still, even when there's something there to entertain me. I hate it. So if I stand up and start pacing around the room, it's not you. It's just me. So I love the cycling, and we did various things. Then obviously entered a marathon, and a lot of it is other people do them. Like 50,000 people do the London Marathon every year, half of them in bear suits. How hard can it be? I'm all right. I play squash, play five-a-side. I'll enter that. And we did some training for it. We didn't like just rock up, but most of it is in my head. I'm pretty fit. Yeah. So I go, well, I'll give it a go. Only to realize that actually there's loads of people way more fit than me. There's people who've been going to the gym since they were 16. Who've done 30 marathons. So me playing squash once a week and riding a bike 10 miles is not the same level as people who have been into this stuff for years. So a lot of the stuff I do, I just go, I'm sure I'll be all right, naively. The full Ironman, I think, was a different kettle of fish. I've done marathons, collapsed at the end and like got dizzy and stars in my eyes and had to hold on to walls. And I've done half Ironman, same thing. I'm just like, half Ironman, imagine doing 2 of them. And I was exhausted, absolutely like bushed. Like, how would you do 2 of them? And I spoke to people who did Ironman, and they're like, you just do it. Like, I don't know, you just train a bit, fuel, make sure you eat, and you don't know you can do it until you do it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to not finish. That would be embarrassing. How do you guarantee that you're going to make it? And like, you just do it. You'll be surprised, whatever. So ended up finding the confidence. Actually, I did panic a bit. My first Ironman was Bolton, and I trained like crazy for that. I gave up booze for 3 months, and I drink far too much habitually, but somehow I managed to give up booze. For 3 months. I was on the turbo trainer 2 or 3 times in the morning before work, and it's amazing giving up booze how many more hours you get in your life. Like,
I know, it's incredible.
I mean, I'm back on the booze again now, but I miss not drinking, and I really want to give it up. My biggest pro tip for anyone who wants to do fit, forget the training and the jogs every morning, just give up booze. I feel like an evangelist. I'm a hypocrite. But For Ironman, I was on the turbo trainer for an hour, 3 mornings a week. I'd do 3 runs during the week, and then every Saturday and Sunday for 12 weeks, I'd go and do 100 kilometers around the Bolton Ironman bike course. So I was doing 200K out on the road every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So it was a sacrifice because it's 12 weeks in spring between March and June, where everyone else is starting to book B&Bs in the Lake District and having little mini breaks, and the spring's coming, and I'm cycling around Bolton on my own. Sounds awful. It's not Bolton city centre. It's the hill around Bolton. It's beautiful. So it wasn't that bad, but it was lonely. Like I'm out there occasionally a pallid come, but in the end, I did 2 laps of Bolton, as I used to call it on Strava, twice a week for 12 weeks, like 24 times round the same loop. So I knew it inside out. So come Bolton Ironman, I was confident. I'd done half the bike course. I knew I could run. Didn't do any swim training. Swimming is actually my favorite discipline of a triathlon, even though I don't do it. I find it so meditative.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really a swimmer, and I don't train for it. Before an Ironman, I might do 2 swims just to make sure my wetsuit fits.
Yeah.
Also, but it's by far my favorite discipline when I'm doing it. It's the one I don't get out of breath on. It's just beautiful.
Nice.
Hard work. So that's the journey to getting to Ironman. What was the question?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was about that journey. How did you, or what made you prioritize particularly the volume of training that you were going to have to do for the Ironman?
Fear of not finishing, I think.
Yeah, so many people I speak to, they're pushing away from something, whether it be an injury or failure, or if they've done something in a group, not necessarily coming last. Not many people care about that. They're more, like you said, that fear of not finishing.
I've still not DNF'd in anything, and I sometimes think that's a bad thing. I think once I've got rid of that demon and I've DNF'd in something, I won't fear it anymore. But there's times where I used to think, don't walk. If I walk, I've failed. And actually that's bad training thing, because sometimes a 100-meter walk to let your muscles relax, you'll actually get a faster time. So actually, in certain circumstances, walking's fine, except that I just see it as cheating and not not man enough or whatever it is. But the DNFing is still a thing I'm trying to desperately to avoid.
No, I'm sure you will do. I'm sure you will do. When you just go back a little bit, started the business 24 years ago, had a daughter. Then naturally she got older, you feel you had more time. So therefore, when you had more time, you started to just take your health and fitness more seriously. You started to challenge yourself more, and therefore your health and fitness is coming with it, I guess. Yeah. Is that maybe your approach? Is I want to do some challenges, I've got lots of energy, I want to test myself mentally and then physically, and as a byproduct of that, you're keeping up your overall fitness and you're focusing on your long-term health? Or is there a defining moment that when your daughter got to 14, you thought, fuck, I want to be around, for years, like we were talking about before, you want to be active and running in your 60s and 70s, which way is it for you? What is that why?
It's not a why. I don't need to be motivated most of the time. I don't need to be disciplined because I'm motivated. I literally sit here going, I want to be outside running. It's where I'm happiest. It's not like, oh, I've got to go for a run. I'm want to lose weight, or it's not. It's what I want to do. If I could retire tomorrow, I'd just be out on the bike and running, and hopefully with other people. I don't want to do it on my time because I'm pretty social as well. But I want to be out there. It's not. Most of the time, it doesn't need discipline, because the objective isn't anything other than I love doing this thing. It's stops me being frustrated. I feel anxious if I'm sitting still, and out there I don't. I know it sounds a bit feel free or sounds a bit wishy-washy, but I just love being out and about. So it's not hard. I think the events make it interesting. They're just they're fun in their own right. Like rocking up, there's a vibe. There's 10,000 other people. You're getting in your wetsuit. Got to be on the start line at 6 a.m. or something. So it becomes a bit of a, I don't know, like a holiday or just a tent pole in your calendar to go and do these things. So and you try harder on the day. You can run all you want when 10K at lunchtime or something. But when you rock up and you've paid 600 quid to enter an Ironman, you're like, I'm going to try and like nail this and get my fueling right and get my pacing just right so that I don't burn out and then collapse at the end. Like everything is tweaking everything to be just so that you're absolutely, you cross the finish line, you fall over, but not 100 meters before, or don't leave anything in the tank either. The big events are good fun for that. They're a bit more, they feel tactical.
Yes. And you enjoy that nutritional side of things as well.
I'd never thought about it. I mean, people say if you run for more than an hour, there or there, you've got enough carbs in your body for about an hour, whatever. And beyond that, you should be fueling or something. But I'm like, well, I've run an hour and a half and I didn't eat anything. I was fine. And then you get to 2 hours and you start going, oh, I was a bit tired today. And you go, well, I probably just didn't sleep very well, or I haven't run for 2 hours for a long time, or whatever. But with experience, you go, actually, it was fuel. If you've just taken a gel or a Mars bar or whatever with you, you don't hit the wall then. And then if you do big events like Ironman or ultra marathons or something, you get to 3 or 4 hours and you're literally dizzy and tired and limping, and someone's going to have to come and stretch you off. And the only thing you needed to do was from half an hour in, like start eating immediately. Like an Ironman, you burn, I don't know what it is, 6,000 calories or 8,000 calories or something, just from the running and stuff, plus the 2,000 calories because you're out for 12 hours. You should have eaten your 2,000 standard daily calories. You've got to eat 10,000 calories while you're moving or whatever. And if you don't, it seems obvious to say it that you're going to struggle. Well, you're not going to finish, basically. So it was and then when I did the lap, I did an ultra marathon this year, 2024. So it was my first ultra, and I didn't start. I knew I had to eat. It was going to be a big old day out, and I didn't eat anything for about 4 hours because I felt fine. I'd had a big breakfast. I'd had a big dinner the night before, and I got 4 hours in, and I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel a bit hungry. That's fine. And then my energy levels just kept going down. Like 4 hours is too late to start, and I knew that because I'd done Ironman and other things. And so I thought it was a bit of a rookie error. I should have started eating it a half an hour in, just start eating some jelly beans or whatever. So the fueling thing's an easy mistake to make, and I kick myself, and I hope I'll never do it again. Like I know it.
Yeah. And what about so I've never done anything of that type of distance, but I've done High Rocks is the longest event that I've done. And then I knew quite early on when I was training for it, or when I went to do my first High Rocks, I realized quite quickly, I was like, I've never actually put myself through anything for an hour and 20 minutes before. So I'm not used to training for 45 minutes in the HIIT classes. So how I've then gone into an event to double it. And I wondered why I dropped off, because your body's not used to it, is it?
No, it's not.
And one thing that I've also started to do recently is fuel my body for training as I fuel before a High Rocks race. And I'm going to do more different things outside of High Rocks next year. But what's your nutrition like? I know you've been honest about the boozing. That's really interesting. That hours of time back, we'll come to that. But what's your food like and your nutrition and everything week to week, particularly as you build up towards an event? Do you sort of fall off the bandwagon? Like we're on the 13th of December, are you going to have a really relaxed, do what you want with who you want for the next 2.5 weeks and then get back on it? What's your approach in general?
Lots of answers there. But generally, I think I eat pretty healthily. I'm not like a health freak or anything. I'll have takeaways and curries and KFC and stuff. I'm not.
You prefer in general home cooked, whole foods?
I definitely eat things like typical breakfast is sourdough bread with eggs and sauerkraut and some other kind of vegetable, fairly Mediterranean-esque. Then probably home cook fairly frequently, or if I go out, I'll have like the vegetarian option or something, make sure I've got plenty of veg. I keep trying to go veggie for lots of reasons, environment and various other things. Just find that I try everything. I go veggie or something for a week or two, and I get really tired. And I go, what is it? Am I not getting the right protein? So I really focus on getting nuts and beans and all this stuff. It doesn't happen. And then I have a KFC and I feel amazing. And I'm like, I really wish it wasn't the case.
That's not the chicken. That'll be those breadcrumbs and all that delicious.
Yeah. I know, the chips, that's what it is. So I try and eat healthily generally, and I think a lot about, what's it called? Stomach bacteria. What am I thinking of? Flora, gut flora.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so there's lots of things about eating fermented goods like sauerkraut and kimchi.
Yeah, I love kimchi.
Love all that stuff. So I try and make sure that's a regular part of my diet. And I stopped. I did Zoe. My business partner got me Zoe for my birthday last year in December, and I did it in January. And then I didn't really bother looking at the glucose monitoring stuff that it does, but I just read the instructions that said, here's a bunch of experiments you should do. Try eating this bad way to eat and compare it when you eat it properly. And I just went, I can't be bothered doing the experiment and monitoring the thing. I'll just take it that I should be doing the stuff in the right hand column. That looks like the good way to do it.
Yeah.
Started doing that and I felt better. I'm not advocating Zoe, by the way. Do it or don't do it. It's your call. Okay. But it basically was just like, if you eat carbs, like a piece of white bread, you'll have a carb crash and you'll feel tired later on and all this stuff. Whereas if you have it with cheese or something, with some protein or some fat, it just levels out the whole way your body digests stuff. So, and it says, eat crisps and watch what happens. You'll feel awful. Eat nuts and you won't feel awful. That's a good idea. So I just stopped buying crisps and started buying nuts. And now like 3 Brazil nuts is like, if you feel like snacking, you could eat like 7 packets of crisps and still not feel full. Whereas 3 Brazil nuts and you feel great for a few hours and there's no crash and it's all very level and all this stuff. So I changed the way I eat earlier this year, and that's made a difference as well. I buy nuts instead of crisps. I have nuts on my cereal. If you have toast, put some peanut butter or something on it, because it's, again, the way you eat and balance your carbs with eat carbs with other things is the thing. Don't eat carbs on their own is the basic rule. Google it.
Nice, I like it. And do you wear a Whoop or anything like that now? Have you gone that step further?
No, I haven't. I've got my Garmin watch.
Yeah, same.
None of the other stuff. And the only thing I really monitor it with interest is my sleep. I have really disturbed sleep and I still can't correct it.
Can't get it.
If I stop drinking, I don't eat after 6 p.m. Tried all sorts. And I I can go to bed at 10 and wake up at 8, like be in bed for 10 hours and still it registers like 6 hours kip of like disturbed, restless, you are not fully recovered. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I've tried all sorts, but it's an ongoing journey, that one, I think.
No, I don't have all the answers to that, unfortunately. I'm very fortunate. Even when I was a big drinker, I used to sleep really well. Since I stopped drinking, I'm not sure if I told you this, but 5 years ago in Jan, I've slept really, really well. And I know I'm quite fortunate with that. I do try and go to bed at a certain time, not change that window so much. I get up early. I try and train every day to make sure that I'm physically tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I'm sure. Do you think your sleep? Do you think it affects your training or affects?
No, I mean I've definitely had a skinful of booze and a stonking hangover and gone out and got a PB the next day.
Yeah, nice.
You can only do that. You'd have to have like not drunk for 4 days, happen to have got smashed. Like one excessive day of drinking is all right. Yeah. The big hangovers and the big performance things come from habitual, like 4 days, like not loads of beer, 2 pints a night.
Yeah.
3 or 4 nights, and then your body just slowly, I guess, just runs out of energy in this. Now, you might have given me a tip there. I'll give it a whirl. This whole like not drinking to see how it affects your sleep thing, because drinking doesn't help you sleep. It what's the word? Not anesthetize. The word I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it doesn't make you sleep. It knocks you out.
Yes.
But sleeping isn't about being knocked out. It's about your body's working hard and recovering and repairing and doing stuff. And booze makes it look like you're asleep, but you're not. You're anesthetized. You're knocked out. So you don't get the recovery if you drink, although it might look like you do. They're different. And I think the same thing with the restless sleep for me. I think not drinking you've got to do at least a week. You can't like not drink for 2 days. Right, well, why am I still not sleeping well? I think it does take 10 days to get out your system. It's really subtle. But most things are, I think, like eating well, sleeping well, all getting the basics right, as I call them. They're not instant changes. You need to do them for 10, 20 days before you start really thinking. You'll see benefits after 2 or 3 days, but that benefit keeps going for a long time. and then you find you're a different person. You wake up, your skin's clear, your head's
it compounds. It compounds, I think, over time as well. The benefits of the sleep and personally, they're not drinking, although I'm not here to push people to give up.
They're not drinking podcast, guys. Let's do
that. There's loads of those that people that really want to talk about it and push it on people more than me. It is super interesting, though, about when you gave up for those few months, the hours of time that you got back, because I said to you beforehand that I'd done a few hours of work before we met at like 9:30 this morning. That is a direct correlation with me not drinking and being in that rhythm and in that flow. I think you found the same. Just
bouncing out of bed at 6:30, on the turbo for 7, off the turbo for 8, still at my desk for 8:20, get to work. Like you get 2 hours more of your life, and if you think how much you're awake for, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
What's 2 hours of 16? An eighth.
Yeah.
15%, whatever. More life. If you could live 15 years, 15% longer, or it's amazing, isn't it? And it's valuable data. It's like sunrises. It's like different times that you don't. It's so enriching to do that kind of stuff. I preach everyone else to do it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly. The goals and how they correlate to business. I think that was one when you said to me, "What was the question?" I said, "I've forgotten," but it doesn't matter. I think that was one of them actually. So have you found that setting the goals and having this essentially this endurance mindset towards your achievements, if you like, and towards these big events that you put time and effort and energy into, your business goals, is there a correlation in your opinion?
I think there is. I wouldn't say I learned one and translated it to the other. I think it's my character in both cases. I think even when I worked for other people, I would stay late and not resent it or go, people don't pay me enough to do this or any of that stuff. I was like, I'm writing a report and I'm nearly done and it's looking cool. I'll put another hour in while I'm in the flow. Like it wasn't ever about the money, like this or anything else or resentment. It was just like, I love the challenge of doing stuff. It felt like doing Sudoku. Like even when I was a developer, it's like, it didn't feel like a challenge. I loved doing it. So I guess there is that, find the thing you love and you'll never work, blah, blah, blah. And I think most of my life has been that anyway. So been lucky in that regard. So work was just about doing good stuff, being curious, etc. I think, and then running and exercising is the same. It's like you learn stuff as you run. It's amazing how complicated running is. Like once you start, you learn about keeping your shoulders down, your chest out, your chin up, looking at the horizon, how to breathe, single breaths, double breaths, how high your knees should be coming, where you should be landing on your foot. Like there's 50 things to think about once you get into it. And they're all tiny, tiny things, but it's dead interesting while you're doing it. And noticing as you get tired and go, oh, stop doing that. And when you want to go faster, you don't put more effort in. So I did Microsoft Flight Sim during lockdown. I thought, I've always wanted to learn to fly. So I bought a computer and bought Microsoft Flight Sim. And I learned the basics of flying, not very good. But one of the interesting things is if you want to go higher, you don't pull back on your yoke, as I thought you probably did. You accelerate. More speed means more air over the wings, which lifts your plane. So you don't do the obvious thing. And it's the same, I think, with running, is when you want to go faster at the end of a marathon and do your last K and get like sprint finish, you don't push harder like someone out the blocks in 100 meters. You relax and stand up straighter and focus on your posture, and you'll find that you float faster. So there's just little things that are just not intuitive that I'm still learning all the time. And I love all that kind of stuff. But in both cases, it reminds me of, have you seen the film Gattaca?
No, I couldn't remember it, but I know the name.
It's worth checking out. It's very good. But there's a scene in it where the two brothers, when they were kids, go out and they dare each other to swim out into the sea, and they just swim as far out as they can. And the first one to turn around is the loser because they're chicken out because they're like 5 miles from the coast and the waves are chopping. One of them goes, no way, I'm not going anymore. And the other one's like, haha, I win. And the two brothers are reminiscing about this, going, how come you always used to beat me? And he goes, because I didn't care about getting back. Like I wanted to beat you. And I think that's me in when I'm doing a project or when I'm running or whatever. It's like my legs sore. I don't care. Like I'd rather win than survive. Sometimes it's like I'm too into it. Like goodness. So I feel like that guy.
No, I like that. I like that. And the
Probably not advisable. I mean, I'm sure there's a parable there where one day this guy would have drowned, but
right control measures are possibly dangerous for yourself. Preservation of life needed.
Yeah. No, next life I'll do that.
Yeah, nice one. I would be interested to know, you spoke about friends, the guy that was a work colleague who was a client that you went and did the cycling with. You've said to me either on this or before that, you want to take, Fridays off, but you tend to just work because you've kind of got nobody to play with, you've got nobody to go out running or cycling with. You might do now. That community that you've got, friends, family, work colleagues, the guys that I know, the community that you're part of with the Marketing Run Club, have you found business opportunities through that? And if the answer is yes, do you think that's because you're driven towards people that maybe have a similar mindset to you towards a lot of things?
I don't think I appreciated this when I was younger, because you always used to see like directors of businesses or head of so and so at BT or whatever were into triathlons, and you're like, or yacht sailing, competitive yacht sailing, or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, like I don't know what show off or whatever. But I think there is a correlation between drive and interesting people and people who are curious and like to learn stuff, because most of these things take skills that you don't have to be skilled. You just have to go, like doing the flight sim. It's like, I'd like to learn that. I'd like to learn more about running. I'd like to learn more, and it's probably the same in business. I'd like to learn more about how this thing works or whatever. So I think there is a mindset where people who are into sport or into at least being very good at their hobby, it may or may not be fitness, I guess, can also be very good at business. Or driven sounds like the wrong word, because it sounds like some kind of The Apprentice-esque thing. But
I think that for me, I think I know where you're going. I think there's like a growth mindset element to it. In business, there's a lot of little shitty things that you have to do, isn't there, to get to where you want to get to. And there's a lot from even, I haven't done the distances that you've done, but when you're 3.5 hours into a Sunday run, you've got to enjoy a version of that. When you have to, and there's that enjoying the little bits to get towards the goal. You have to enjoy that.
You do. It's the learning, isn't it? It's like enjoying the process.
Yes.
So you don't do it for the money. You don't do it because you want to be a director of a company. You don't do it. You do it because I want to do a good job, and what can I learn in this process? All that kind of stuff. Is that, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Whether it's done, I don't think we've ever won any work. I might have done through my network of sporty people or whatever, but I've definitely I go on bike rides with some, we call it the CTO digital bike ride thing, which we recently started doing a few months ago. We got the Marketing Run Club that Max Hoppy and the crew are all part of. So there's definitely, I've made friends that we then do through business contacts who we now do sporty things with. In the process of that, we also happen to talk about business, and someone said, well, I'm looking for a new job, and I'll introduce you to Kevin or whatever. So there's business chat, but it's all very no pressure.
No. Yeah, there's no, maybe apart from obviously that the client that was did the cycling with you.
Adam.
Yeah.
Well, he was a client before.
He was a client before.
Working with Swinton since 2008, and I don't know when their 60th birthday was, probably 2018, somewhere around there, I guess. Maybe slightly before that, 2015 maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, there's something, I suppose, one of the other guys that I had on the podcast said that he's had quite a few business opportunities come through his, let's say, fitness community. And for him, it's because what he's seen when he's been in that HIIT class for however long the period of the HIIT class is, for however long he was talking about, I can't remember exactly, over weeks or months, is that you see somebody essentially leave it all on the floor in terms of like effort and energy and sweat. And he just fucking really liked that. And then he got to know that person. Then he got to realize what type of work they did. And then over the weeks and the months, obviously got to form that sort of bond and a relationship with somebody that's really important in business. And I guess you haven't quite found those matches yet, but do you think that's just because you've been, as I know you, super relaxed kind of guy, probably not very salesy, don't want to come across as being pushy in that way, probably want business to be introduced to you, but is it something that you would look for and try and open up a little bit more in the future? Or are you quite comfortable with just having new friends, and if it turns into work, it turns into work?
That's exactly it. I think people don't need a new mobile app on a Tuesday when I ask them.
How it
works, is it? But I think I think business used to be done on the golf course, and I'm sure people used to sneer at that, going, "Oh, the boss is never in; he's always playing golf." But he's not. He's building relationships, etc. And there were people that did loads of work for charity stuff. The name escapes me of a couple of the famous ones, but people joined charities and raised money and with other business people. And it is about building relationships, buying from people you trust, buying from people you like. And that's how networks and business is done. It's not nepotism or anything else. You know, people who don't understand it will criticize it, but it is about finding people that you know will do a good job, and you've met them loads and they've talked about projects that they've done, and you go, actually, you're the kind of guy I'd like to get involved if an opportunity comes up. So my business partner says cycling is the new golf. That's his phrase.
I did a post about it yesterday. It's one of the reasons that we've sort of launched the events part of the business the other day. It's all around partnerships, and partnerships really work when you have a disparity in service. So essentially, you work with the same type of customer but don't compete for the same budget. That's got to happen. And the supplier network of a retailer, for example, is absolutely vast. So there's thousands, arguably, of partnerships that you can have if you work with retailers, but all different industries can be segmented as such from a supplier network point of view. But then the other thing that most people overlook from a partnerships perspective is you have to have a common value. Now that can be supporting Manchester United, but the analogy that I use all the time is, why do golfers like golfers? Why do cyclists like cyclists? Because they geek out on their little geeky sport. That's why they like them. And when you have that rooted, build friendships. And what a great way to develop your business with a load of other business owners that have the same passion as you.
Yeah. So I couldn't go to a golf networking thing.
No.
Like, golf's not my thing. I'm awful at it. And I'm sure it would be good for business. Like, be a good use of my time. It just doesn't float my boat. So you're right. It's about finding your thing in it.
It's a passion, and that passion can be anything. It can be sewing. You're just going to find it difficult to find other people that really like sewing, you know. But if your passion is, and that's what we're building our events around, is if your passion is health, fitness, and wellness, then you find other business owners and other directors of companies that have that same passion. You're more likely to stick with those partnerships and build that network that should then turn into business development opportunities. But it is interesting. Lots of people have found direct correlation from their sort of fitness community, and other people, maybe such as yourself, are more interested in finding sort of friends, which I do really like as well.
Yeah, and all of the above. I mix the two nowadays. I'm like, you know, the business is successful. There's plenty of people who've built much bigger businesses in much shorter time, but we're comfortable. We like what we do as a business. I think our staff are happy. Our clients say thank you all the time. They're like, that work was amazing. We have awkward conversations up front. I'm really sorry, this is going to cost you more than you thought, but that's before they've committed. Like, not because we want to be like, once we start, we don't want to fall out. Like,
no, of course not.
This is what we reckon this will take. You can do an amazing job. Here's some cool ideas, and if they're in, we'll look at, like, we just avoid sleepless nights. That's part of Jim and I's mantra nowadays for Sputnik is have all the, be open and upfront. It's not even awkward conversations. Just like, someone will say we can do this for $5,000, and we're like, no, it's gonna be 20. And they're like, oh, well, so and so said that. I'm like, well, here's why. Like, if you want to take that risk, go for it. But I don't want to be the one that lets you down. I think they will let you down because you can't do it for that. So just being open and honest, whether we make money or not happens. But what we're about is just be honest, give good advice. Life's too short. Like, we want to work with people we like, and we want them to like us back and not shout at us or be angry with us, or for us to go back with our cap in our hand and go, I'm really sorry, I'm underquoted because I didn't think of something. Like, let's just do it right and be nice.
Yeah, no, I like that. Last two clients on the consulting side have found me because of a common value. And you naturally start to like people when you know that they're going through similar things to you. But I think, do a good job and the money will come.
Yeah, I think it does.
Falling off track from a fitness perspective. You got a plan? Has there been a time where you've fallen off track, and how did you get back on?
Yes. So after Bolton, Ironman last year, June, July, whenever that was. Everyone says like, after you do a big event, even like a marathon, marathoners take like a month off and do nothing, just recover and let the muscles repair and all that stuff. So if you've just done an Ironman, the last bit of which is a marathon, then you should be taking time off. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. I've been training for 3 months, not drinking, been out on my own a lot, etc., etc. I'll spend the next month compensating. I'll just like get back on the booze, socialize, go to the pub, hang out with friends, like treat myself, and I'll call it recovery. Then it became a life, like you do something for more than 30 days, it becomes a habit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, it was like August, September, then it starts getting dark and I'm like, oh, quite enjoying this socializing stuff. And then I started going for a run, and then I wasn't as fast because I'd given it like 2 months, and I'm like, just, not going disappointingly slow. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? I'm not motivated to run now because I feel like it's going to take me 3 more months to get back to where I was. And so it was a slippery slope. I'd say that. So that was summer last year. And I think I really struggled because I don't think I've still got back into the habit. I had a busy year this year. Fortunately, I'd booked loads of events, which made sure I did a couple of marathons, did Barcelona Ironman this year, Bolton Half Ironman, the Lap Ultra. So luckily I had loads of stuff in the diary, which meant even if I wasn't going out training at lunchtime, on the Saturday, I was going to be able to do something big. So I did some fitness stuff at a good level, but I didn't get any PBs this year, I don't think. Whereas last year I PB'd in everything except the marathon. I think I got 5K, 10K, 10 mile, 16 mile, half Ironman, full Ironman, got PBs in everything. This year, PBs in nothing. I haven't had the discipline or the regularity of training. And then I had an op 5 weeks ago. So doctor's orders, no exercise, various things, hernia risks and stitches opening up. So I went back to boot camp on Wednesday, just gone. I tried to run, but it didn't work for me. The running was fine, but there's bladder control issues post-op. And then the pounding of pavements is not good. So I've done boot camp. I'll have to give running and cycling another, maybe to the end of the month. So I'd say since Ironman last year, apart from having these big events in the diary that luckily have made me get off my backside, I'm probably still not back in the zone.
Okay.
I'm motivated now. I want to go for a run. Like, I definitely want to. Just medically, I need to be patient and disciplined. And that's harder than being disciplined to go for a run, is the discipline to go for a run.
I know.
Much harder.
Yeah. And will you go and set, once you feel comfortable medically, will you then go and set a few, like we were talking on WhatsApp yesterday or the day before, will you just go, yeah, fancy that, and book that in, and then again go back into your training and back into everything? Is that how you'll get back on track? Do you just need things booked in your diary to go, fuck, that's going to be horribly hard if I don't train for that?
Yeah, I think so. So I've got London Marathon this year, or 2025, Leeds Ironman, some Windermere triathlon, standard distance. Yeah. I don't know where it is, in the lakes somewhere. And I'll book a few more in. So I'm already booking them in. I mean, the London Marathon's in April, I think. I mean, you should be spending 16 weeks to train for a marathon. You can do it in 12, or you can do it in none if you, like me, you just like rock up, assuming you have a base level of fitness nowadays. But I should be starting to train now-ish for London. It's not going to, not happening.
And if you were to train now, what strategies would work best for you for juggling in the social life that you've come accustomed to be enjoying? Sputnik is a growing, successful business with a team, with new clients, coming on next year, undoubtedly. What strategies work best for fitting it in? Is it give up the booze and hit it in the morning, or do you place things in, weeks ahead? Do you go, right, that's my training block for a month? What works for you?
So I try and train 10K every day. I just do 10K at lunch, roughly 12 and 1, depending on the diary, because we're fully remote now, so I work from home. So I start work 8-ish. By 12 o'clock, I've probably done almost everything. Like by 9 o'clock, I've cleared my inbox and done all the admin stuff. The next 3 hours, I've done loads of other stuff. Come 12 o'clock, I'm pretty much running out of things that are causing me pressure. Yeah. But I go for a run and ideas pop in my head, and I come back with a to-do list longer than I started with. So 10K every day is my general thing that just gets me out of the house, because I don't commute. I wouldn't get any fresh air anyway if I didn't do it. Yeah. So that's pretty standard. running is pretty flexible. The boot camps, I really love. It's the only upper body stuff I do. It's in the park, 500 meters away, outdoors, Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings. I try and protect that because there's work stuff that happens on Wednesday nights, and I tend to decline them because I protect boot camp. I protect boot camp more than I protect running. Like, I don't mind missing a lunch run if a work thing comes up, but boot camp I try and protect. It's my stuff. And then the bike, I'll just try and get on the turbo, especially over winter. So it shouldn't be hard to get it all back in. It's just, it becomes it just goes in this habit. It's like brushing your teeth. Like, brush my teeth in the morning, brush my teeth before I go to bed, do a lunch run, 12 o'clock. It's just part of my routine.
And you believe in that 30-day habit setting and falling out?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've read stuff like that, and I think thinking of how when I gave up the booze for Bolton, that was fine. And then boozing again for a month, I find it hard to stop again. So there seems to be some truth in it. I don't know the science, but we'll see. A
few more questions. One, you can spend a little bit of time thinking about if you want. Just like a 3-pronged one. What does health mean to you? What does fitness mean to you? And what does wellness mean to you? So health, fitness, and wellness, because they're sort of grouped into the same category. Some have got a perception, some are a little bit of a buzzword at the moment. But what does health mean to you? What does fitness mean to you? What does wellness mean to you?
Sounds like a trick question, and I need to practice one. I guess fitness is about the science of it.
Okay.
Like heart rate, cardio, all that kind of stuff. VO2 max, ability to complete challenging physical things, I guess. Health, I guess, is maybe the biological, helping to prevent chronic illnesses and things. And I think a lot of that is around good lifestyle, like cancers, heart attacks, all these things are about the things your mum told you to do. People don't believe it, but it's about sleeping, eating well, not staying up. There's another podcast, I think it was the Whoop lady, and she said, I can't remember the exact stats, but if you are a shift worker, you're 30% more likely to die of a heart attack, or some statistic like that. And the definition of a shift worker is anyone who stays up for any 2-hour period between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. 3 times in 6 months. Or it's like insignificant. Like if you stay up until midnight 3 times in 6 months, you're basically a shift worker, and you're a 30% more chance to die of a heart attack. Like, sleep is vital. Like, it's a form of torture, and like, people die if you don't sleep. Like, you don't drink, you don't eat, and people don't drink enough water during the day. Like, that is literally a thing that you need to survive. It's like if someone said, "I'm going to remove 30% of your oxygen," please don't. Rather you do. But people don't even look after themselves by not drinking enough water, or not eating properly, or not sleeping. Like, go to bed at 10 o'clock or at 9:30. I know and people go, "But I like watching TV, or I like computer games, or I don't get back from the pub till 11. And so for me, one of the motivators for not drinking, I'm going off topic here.
No, you're on. You're good.
I'd rather drink early, start drinking at 5 p.m. And I want to be in bed for 10. I don't want to go out to the pub at 9 and not be back till 11, then have a pizza until midnight. Like, it's not my life. Like, the sleep is another thing I try and protect. So all of this stuff causes inflammation and other things. Like, these are the basics: processed food, sleep, alcohol, etc. And they will cause, doing them wrong will cause heart attacks and strokes and cancers and all these other things. So that's the health answer in the right way. And well, I don't know. I guess I associate it with things that others would associate with mental health and stuff. Talk about yoga and relaxing and meditating and all that kind of stuff. For me, I'd say I've definitely had periods of stress in my life, but my stress comes from anxiety. Like, it can be anxiety about worrying. I'm pretty good at dealing with things. Like, if I get told bad news, I can pretty much go, okay, how do I address that? And so anxiety comes from not making a decision, stewing on something. Well, this has happened. What should I do about it for 3 weeks? What you need to do is make a decision and fix it, and the anxiety goes away because you've taken action. The other thing for me is sitting still. Like if I'm housebound for a day, rather than going, I know, I'll pick up a cloth and I'll dust the shelves, I sit here going, I don't want to do that. I want to be outside running or something. So getting out does fix my mental health, not because I've got mental health issues, but because sitting still causes me mental health issues, causes me anxiety.
It's amazing that you know that about yourself. I don't think many people, I think some people say, I've been outside all day, but I don't think they realize, we were talking about compounding effects one way or another. I don't think they realize the compounding effects that can have.
Yeah. And I think people say go for a walk in the park, it's good for your mental health. That doesn't do it for me.
No.
It oversimplifies it, or what's the word? It's not that simplistic. It's understanding what you need to do. Like sometimes it's about achieving stuff. Like you feel like if you're anxious because you're being made redundant, going for a walk in the park isn't going to fix it. Finding another job, getting your CV sorted, deciding what you want to do.
Being inside and grafting and sending out loads of CVs, following up, calling people, introducing yourself, that's going to make you feel better, being proactive. Yeah. I'm going to the Lake District for 2 weeks.
But I think if your life is fine, like you've got a steady career and your partner's like your soulmates and all this stuff, and you're feeling twitchy, a walk in the park might be what you need. I'd rather run it because walking's too slow, and I'm like, once you're a runner, walking just doesn't get you anywhere fast enough, I think.
Yeah, no, I like you've mentioned that before. It's like I could walk it takes me an hour. I could run it takes me half an hour. It's like that insatiable appetite just to get to wherever you've got to get to.
Yeah. And it's not even that tiring, like at a slow pace.
I know.
It's not, you don't even get, it just feels like walking just more efficiently.
Final question. Lots of business owners who are struggling to find the time, the effort, or get the time and the energy to put in the effort to take their health and fitness seriously. What's the one bit of advice that you would give to get them going?
Depends on their stage in life. I think I was a workaholic in my 20s and 30s. And I'm glad I was, because it's given me a lifestyle now that I'm comfortable. So I put in the graft, and I did. It was stressful at times, but mostly it was curiosity and like enjoying it. Period of my life. So, but I did keep. I found time. I played five-a-side and I did other things. I wasn't what I am now, but I found time. But I think it is about just making it a routine. Like for me, it's an hour every lunchtime. I'm not really a morning person. Not now that I'm back on the booze. Lunchtime's fine. Evenings are fine. Don't let rain and darkness put you off. Like, again, it's like brushing your teeth. Go, it's time to brush your teeth, and you go into autopilot and you're thinking of other things while you do it. If you think I'm going for a run, just start putting your trainers on and then start thinking about something like. So don't be going, oh, it's dark. Shall I go later? I'll wait for the rain to die down. Just stop thinking about it. Make it habit. But there's so many cool things. Like I'd love to do a high rocks. Sounds fun. There's boot camp. There's the gym. There's swimming, running. Join a running club. Meet loads of cool people. Like joining the local running club here, Chalkton Runners, changed my life as well. Met loads of great people. I think for my 50th last year, 3/4 of the people that came were from the running club. Like 4 old schoolmates, a couple of business contacts, mostly the running club. Like made some great friends there.
Yeah. You start to surround yourself with this new group of people, don't you, that are doing the same things as you, what we talked about before, same values, same passions.
Yeah, in fact, I was talking to someone last week, a business leader from Manchester, who's had troubles with alcohol at a level above me, and sought help for it. And part of it is you are the average of the people you hang around.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly in my 20s, I think it was let's go for a beer after work. And actually, they were the people I knew, and I didn't know how to meet other people. But had I met, I didn't really want to do that. I was never a big drinker, so to speak. But I would have been much happier in hindsight if I'd joined, I don't know, a big company, Deloitte or somewhere, and they had social clubs and this is the gym crew or the five-a-side. I would have joined those, but because I'm self-employed, you meet these people and there's no easy connection into a new group. But picking your friendship group is a good thing. So this other business leader I was talking about, I guess their world has been business, networking, drinks, etc. And we were discussing together what they're going to do. And it's partly about finding a new group of friends that want to go to the gym or go hiking, or sometimes that's what you need to do, isn't it?
I know it is. And Yeah, I think whenever you make a big lifestyle change, and it happened to me when I stopped drinking, you've got to be ready to lose some people that you've had as part of that previous life, if you like. You know, I had some guys that I sent out save the dates to our wedding to, 18 months after stopping drinking. And the relationship just deteriorated so much because I wasn't doing the same things that they were doing, wasn't wanting to go to the pub and watch England play footy when in 2021, I think the Euros or the World Cup or whatever it was got changed to 2021 because of COVID in 2020. The relationship had just deteriorated because I didn't want to go to the pub. I wanted to go to the pub, but even the fact I was having lime and sodas upset them in some way, you know, that they got the save the dates and then a year later and they never got a proper invite. You know, the relationship, yeah, and I'm very comfortable with that. Very comfortable. The relationship obviously wasn't what I believed it was, and what they maybe believed it was, or for whatever reason they were upset with me not drinking, setting the business up. There was so I think people have got to be willing for that to happen if they do make some big lifestyle changes, like that guy that you met. You know, that circle of friends that he found drinking is gonna. Maybe he's happy to do so if he had a serious problem with it, but they're going to disappear.
Yeah, I think you could be right, and it's I think life is richer. Like if you go to the pub and talk about football,
yeah,
you're kind of single dimensional. Not that I'm particularly multi-dimensional. I talk about digital and running now. Like I probably bore most people to death, but not having the same 5 people that you go to the pub and talk about the same stuff. Like I know hundreds more people now through this stuff. Like the guys that go, the tech CTO and digital cycling club is 15, 20 guys. The running club here are 100 odd people that I see fairly frequently. The marketing run club's another crew. My social network has expanded.
Yeah,
I see the same people all the time. It's not like me, Dave, and Sarah going to the pub after work every day. Like, what have you been up to? How's United doing? Oh, God, shoot me.
I know. No, it's much. I agree with you. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Andy.
Pleasure, guy. Anytime, mate. Look forward to going for a run with you soon.
Absolutely.
Wait for you.